Welcome, you're watching Vox News, your daily news updates with Rita Kamkumo. Our headlines today: Nigeria's former President Goodluck Jonathan arrives in Mali to mediate political tensions as a special envoy sent by the Economic Community of West African States. International flights resume in Senegal after a 4-month suspension due to the coronavirus pandemic. The African Court of Justice orders Tanzania to allow the results of presidential elections to be challenged. Our top story today: Nigeria's former President Goodluck Jonathan arrived in Mali on Wednesday, shortly after being appointed by the Economic Community of West African States as a special envoy to head his mediation mission in the troubled country.
With your cooperation and the good people of Mali, who will want to solve the problems, not about individuals, but about the collective interests of the country, I think we'll have a way of resolving the issues. This must be man-made issues, not earthquakes that we have no control. So I believe we'll be able to get something done. You will work with us and we'll succeed.
The former leader's mission will focus on facilitating dialogue between President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta and leaders of the opposition coalition made of religious organizations and civil society to solve Mali's worsening socio-political crisis.
La volonté qui anime le président de la République.
With the will of the President of the Republic, my will as head of government, the will of the ECOWAS delegates, I'm hopeful that this political process will lead us to a solution and a way out of the crisis for the well-being of all the people of Mali.
De sortie de crise, cela pour le bien-être de l'ensemble.
Shortly after Jonathan's arrival, along with an ECOWAS delegation, the opposition coalition that demands President Keïta's resignation called off its rally that was scheduled for this Friday. A spokesman for the protest movement said on Wednesday that demonstrations that protest leaders had set for Friday will be transformed into memorial services for victims killed in last week's violent anti-government protests. International flights resumed in Senegal on Wednesday after a 4-month air traffic suspension due to the coronavirus pandemic, to the greatest joy of travelers.
I've been stuck in Senegal for quite some time. Today I'm really happy. I'm very happy to be going back to France.
Ravie, je suis très contente de retourner en France. Donc voilà.
Despite a timid recovery, Senegalese authorities have put in place strict sanitary measures at Dakar International Airport to avoid imported coronavirus cases.
It's the first day, so it's a timid recovery. Today, we have 7 passenger flights and 8 cargo flights. We have set up equipment and a system to welcome passengers and make sure they are treated in coronavirus conditions. It's a timid recovery. The planes will certainly fill up in the coming days. There will be more and more of them, and we think that in the next 2 months, we will have 30% of our traffic compared to last year.
Aujourd'hui, pour venir au Sénégal,
Today, to come to Senegal, we demand strict compliance with border measures, namely the wearing of masks. Everybody wears a mask. You have the physical distance, even at the seats where you rest. You have hydroalcoholic gels everywhere, even at the ATMs. When the passengers arrive, you have thermal cameras, you have the thermal flash. We are in a box where you have the feedback of the temperature, which allow us to insulate them. We have also asked by mutual agreement with the civil aviation that to arrive in Senegal, to have a PCR test that is negative through laboratories that have been cleared.
à travers des laboratoires qui ont été habilités.
Passengers departing for Senegal are indeed required to present proof from an approved laboratory from the country where the trip originated, attesting they have tested negative for COVID-19 within the previous 7 days. Just like its neighbor Senegal, Guinea is about to reopen its air borders after a 4-month hiatus due to the coronavirus pandemic. President Alpha Condé announced on Wednesday the gradual resumption of air traffic as of this Friday under COVID-19 safety guidelines. The president added that the resumption of international flights will be based on the principle of reciprocity between the countries of origin and destination. On the economic front, South Africa reported on Wednesday that the country's inflation rate has fallen to its lowest level in 15 years, with an annual rate of 2.1% recorded in May. In September 2004, the inflation rate stood at 1.3%, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. The drop is due to lower fuel prices, with prices at the pump that fell by 25.9% in 1 year. The consumer inflation rate is the only green economic indicator in the country whose overall economy is expected to shrink by 7.2% in 2020. On the judiciary front, the African Court on Human and People's Rights ordered Tanzania on Wednesday to allow courts to challenge the results of presidential elections. The court ordered Tanzania to amend a section of its constitution which prohibits any probe into the election of a president after the Electoral Commission has declared him the winner. Tanzania was ordered to proceed to the necessary constitutional and legislative amendments promptly and to submit a report within 12 months on the measures it has taken to enforce the court's judgment. This ruling comes after Tanzanian lawyer Rita Kamkumo filed a case in Arusha in 2018, arguing that the provision of the Tanzanian constitution was a violation of his rights. The African Court on Human and People's Rights issued another crucial judgment on Wednesday. 3 months before Ivory Coast's presidential election, the African Court ruled that local electoral commissions in the country are unbalanced and weighed in favor of the RSDP governing party in terms of the number of chairs. The court cited the absence of an appropriate mechanism for appointing members of the electoral body from civil society and political parties, especially opposition parties. The vast majority of Ivory Coast's 558 local commissions are chaired by President Alassane Ouattara's RSDP party, according to official statistics. The country's opposition PDCI-RDA party had seized the African Court after the Constitutional Court rejected reforms proposals. Zambia's government on Tuesday dismissed allegations that President Edgar Lungu had sponsored a Rwandan rebel chief accused of orchestrating deadly attacks in his country's border regions. The allegations were made by rebel leader Kalix Sabimana, who is on trial for terrorism and murder, among other charges. During his latest hearing on Monday, Nzabimana told a Rwandan High Court that President Lungu had promised his armed terrorist organization, the National Liberation Front, $1 million to help remove President Paul Kagame from power. He added that Lungu had made a down payment of $150,000 in support of rebel attacks aimed at overthrowing Kagame's government. The Zambian presidency categorically denied these claims. About 10,000 Ivorian citizens and members of Ivory Coast's RSDP governing party gathered at Abidjan's Sports Palace on Wednesday to pay final tribute to the late Prime Minister and presidential candidate Amadou Coulibaly, who died last week.
Since July 8, I have no longer heard you, my dear big brother. But Amadou, where are you? Where are you? Amadou, where are you today? You told us that you had come to take the place of the chief, your master Alassane Ouattara.
As soon as he recovered, he came back to take his place at your side, as if to say, Mr. President, I have come to hand over the victory to you in order to continue the work of development.
He represented the future of the presidency of Ivory Coast. We know that there is confidence in him and he had a lot of control over the Ivorian people. He could stay the course.
The body of the late head of government arrived on Wednesday in his hometown Korogo in the north of the country, where he will be buried on Friday.
We wanted him to become the president of the Republic because he was the prime minister. He did a lot for Ivory Coast, so those of us in Napier and Korogo wished that he would become the president of the Republic.
He is dead. It hurts because he is a father to us all. We came from Waranyari to come and welcome him. In any case, it is very sad.
Coulibaly's burial will conclude a week of national mourning decreed by President Ouattara. Tunisia's Prime Minister Elias Fakfa, who is under investigation over allegations of conflict of interest, resigned on Wednesday under the pressure of the Ennahda party, the biggest party in parliament. Earlier on Wednesday, the Islamist Conservative Party had tabled a no-confidence motion against 48-year-old Fakfa, who took office in February after winning approval from a fractured parliament. On the international scene, rapper MHD, one of France's most successful rappers, who was indicted and imprisoned since January 2019 for voluntary manslaughter following a deadly brawl in Paris in the summer 2018, was released under judicial supervision this Thursday, according to the AFP. Paris Court of Appeal is set to examine on the 23rd of July the appeal lodged by Paris Public Prosecutor's Office against the order decreed on the 7th of July, which led to the release of the 25-year-old rap star. However, if Paris Court of Appeal was to overturn this order made by a judge of liberty and detention, a new warrant of deposit could be pronounced against the artist, leading to further imprisonment. Finally, in South Africa, the statue of 19th century British imperialist Cecil Rhodes is making headlines after it was recently decapitated in Cape Town Park.
The head of Cecil John Rhodes has been cut off with what seems to be an angle grinder between the early hours of Sunday evening or Monday morning. It's not yet been determined as to when it exactly happened. But our rangers on patrol discovered the incident on Monday, and that is when it was reported to SAPS. So it's currently being investigated.
Rhodes was a well-known white supremacist who made a fortune of mining and colonized territories in southern Africa. He served as Prime Minister of the Cape Colony from 1890 to 1896.
Thinking about it beforehand, I wouldn't have said go and do it. But now that it's been done and that people have actually done it, I think it's a good thing.
Obliterating a statue does not remove its record from history. We all know what happened, we all know Cecil John Rhodes, and defacing the statue does not erase Cecil John Rhodes' legacy in any way.
Given the anti-racist movement born after the infamous murder of African-American George Floyd, all lead to believe that Rhodes' statue in Cape Town Park was attacked, as were statues of colonialists and white supremacists in Western countries. That's it for today. Thank you for watching Vox News.